as the New Orleans Saints beat reporter for ESPN.com, and previously, of course, did an excellent job covering the Saints for the Times-Picayune. Covered LSU football prior to that, and also worked for the Sacramento Bee and covered the San Francisco 49ers. He received the Bob Rossler Award from the New Orleans Touchdown Club back in 2014 for his outstanding work. The Saints, of course, off this weekend before heading to Houston to take on the Titans, who beat previously unbeaten Cincinnati last night. That'll be on Sunday, November 29th. Please give a warm Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation Quarterback Club welcome to Mike Triplett of ESPN.com.
Thanks for having me, everyone. Unfortunately, LSU's had a better last 2 weeks than the Saints. There's not a lot of good football to talk about in this room. Yeah, you saw history last week. In case you didn't know it or want to know it, the worst point differential loss in the entire Sean Payton, Drew Brees tenure last week. And I didn't really see it coming. I thought they had righted the ship a little bit, but boy, inconsistency has defined this team for a couple years now. Before we talk Saints, I'll give you a little of my background. I'm gonna do a little more bragging. You bragged about 2-0. I am a University of Iowa alum, 10-0 football team for the first time in Iowa history. So I grew up in Iowa, not too far from Chicago, and then as Ken said, out of college I moved out near San Francisco, covered the 49ers for 5 years. LSU during their championship year in 2003, and the Saints since 2005. So I covered that Katrina season, and I've been here for the entire Peyton Brees era, which has obviously, I think, spoiled a lot of people in this room and a lot of people in this city the best. And now it's kind of probably hard to deal with seeing some of the worst football that they've played in that era, and defense. Defense is obviously, look, everybody's to blame. The offense hasn't been good enough this year, but the defense is historically bad. The only defense in NFL history that has given up more yards per game than this one was the 2012 Saints defense. So you've seen a lot of bad defensive football, and that's a different coordinator, different players, different schemes. So obviously it's something that has been a big gaping hole during the Sean Payton, Drew Brees, Mickey Loomis era. Is they're not drafting well enough, they're not coaching it well enough, they're not signing the free agents that are getting it done. And I think I remember telling everybody heading into this season, I was pretty optimistic about the Saints because I thought their offense would still be very good, which they have been. And I said if they could have a top 5 offense and maybe the 24th ranked defense, I think they can win 10 games and go to the playoffs. And I think that's a true statement, but they don't have the 24th ranked defense. They have the 32nd ranked defense in a 32-team NFL, and obviously that led to Rob Ryan being fired. I think that's a huge shame. I don't know how everybody felt about him in this room 2 years ago. He was the toast of the city. His personality really seemed to fit. Players loved him. I think Sean Payton even liked him because this guy worked hard. He worked through the night. His passion, too much passion, too much. His playbooks were this big. He had one for every opponent. He had one for every call. He had one for every quarter. And they tried to cut down on that this year to cut down on the assignment alignment errors, and it still didn't work. So maybe switching to Dennis Allen will help. Maybe there'll be fewer penalties. They lead the league in defensive penalties. They lead the league in giving up too many big plays. They're on pace to set the all-time record for opponents' passer rating. They're just not doing a lot well. The one thing I will say about the Saints is they at least recognize this, probably for the first time in the Peyton Brees era. So many people I've read this year, blow it up. Is it time to blow it up? Do they have to trade away Drew Brees? Do they have to trade away Sean Payton? I think those two guys will stick. We'll see about Payton. I think Drew Brees will definitely stick and should stick, though. He's still playing well. He's still young for a quarterback in today's day and age. But they did blow it up everywhere else. This is the first time in the Peyton Brees era we saw them stockpile 9 draft picks. They've got, let me do the math, 11 rookies on their current roster, 8 of them on defense, 3 of them starting on defense. So, they trade away Jimmy Graham, they trade away so many pieces. That salary cap's going to take a while to get out from under, but they're going to be on that path once all this dead money gets off the books. So they recognize that need to blow things up, to get younger, to start over underneath Drew Brees and Sean Payton. But obviously it's going to take time. They really caught lightning in a bottle. I think from 09 to 11, not only did you see Drew Brees playing some of the best football you've ever seen a quarterback play in NFL history, but Jari Evans and Carl Nicks might have been the best guard tandem in NFL history. They were the first team All-Pro guards that year. Marcus Colston was in his prime, and so were some of the other receivers at that time. Then Jimmy Graham came around and Darren Sproles came around in 11. That's going to be probably impossible to ever recreate that. They can get back to being very good, and as long as Drew Brees is their quarterback, I think they're capable of 10-win seasons and division championships. But it's going to be hard to recapture what they had in their glory years. I think that's become painfully obvious these last couple of years. So, any questions? I'd be happy to answer.
It's always been pretty obvious that Sean Payton is the one making the decision, except for yesterday. It seemed like he didn't know who the heck was making the decision. I mean, in the morning he said that Rob Ryan's on the staff and that changes are going to be made, and then in the afternoon he's gone. So what's going on? I mean, you're behind this curtain.
Yeah,
I
I think that was the inconvenience of having an 11:30 press conference scheduled. I think they knew what was going to happen. They had their staff meetings in the morning. Rob Ryan was still running those staff meetings, rehashing the game. I think he did want to sit down, probably with Mickey Loomis and probably with Tom Benson, say, is this what we all want to do? We all agree. This is what we're going to do. And you know, to his dismay, every week he had a press conference scheduled for 11:30. He would probably prefer to do his job without any press conferences scheduled. But I think, and look, he said that in his answer. Rob Ryan is still on the staff. He didn't like the reports coming out early. He had not been fired yet at that time. But I think he was also pretty honest when you read between the lines that he wasn't overly stating, hey, Rob Ryan's not going anywhere. I mean, the questions were, is that a possible change you might consider? He said, of course we're going to consider changes like that. We're going to consider all changes. When they come back, it's going to be painful for some people. It's not going to look the same. I think if you read between the lines, it was a matter of when, but not if. The timing was weird, but if it hadn't been a day when he had a morning press conference, it had been on a Tuesday, and the media wasn't all gathered there around him, it probably just would have happened at 3 p.m, which is what it ended up being. So, it should have happened smoother, but I don't think they wanted to rush the decision and the announcement and the process of it just because they had a press conference scheduled for that morning.
Anyone else? Raise your hand.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you.
I was going to ask a Big Ten question.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk winning football.
Is it possible? Is there a Big Ten championship where Ohio State will play Iowa?
Yeah.
And now, do you think the team that doesn't win that, they will automatically be eliminated from the championship series? So only the winner will advance it.
Well, those two teams are in two very different boats because I think everybody is dying for Iowa to lose and get them out of the picture. The only way Iowa gets in the playoff is if they go undefeated. The way the Big Ten East and West is, it's a shame for me. You were talking about the high school, how it doesn't feel right. You know, I grew up in the Big Ten country, and now Iowa's in this 14-team Big Ten where they don't play Michigan, Ohio State, or Michigan State in the regular season. So they've had, unfortunately, a very easy schedule. They've won all their games, but they haven't faced any of the big boys yet. They won't do that until the Big Ten championship game. They got to get past Nebraska. That's their big Thanksgiving week game. But Ohio State, they're in right now solidly, and they still play Michigan State and Michigan. So they're a team that maybe could survive and get in as a one-loss team, depending on how things work out. Iowa would have to win that game to get into the playoff for sure. All right. Yeah. Here we go. Yeah, please.
I had the pleasure of being in Iowa City last weekend, and they had a tremendous event. They had first they started off with a wrestling match against Oklahoma State in the morning, and there were 35,000 people there.
It's amazing.
And then the game was that night, the football game, and then on Sunday was a basketball game. So that town was really jumping.
Yeah, and they don't play a lot of night football games too, so that was an interesting weekend. It would have been neat to be there. But yeah, wrestling is still a huge sport in Iowa. One of the few states where it's really celebrated. Iowa and Oklahoma. That was a couple of powerhouses there. So. All right, thank you all very much.